want war. Crime babies looking for food, starvation, the recipe, people subdued. When the people you trust got it in for you. Deceit is the word of the day and every clue. Don't let it go, it's from the days of old. Time is up, but some still do not know. Can I make up my mind? Is it worth the dime? Do I have to take a minute just to make it mine? Life's never fair, but don't listen to the TV. Go out and take a listen to the streets with the people in the slums and the homeless bums with degrees and degrees sitting under a tree. It's not easy in the world for the poor man, the one that brought you to reality. See, they don't want you to know about the black sheep, leaving 7 roads to the 12 families all around the globe with an ancient code. Is it really asking a lot to say a death old? Cause we sitting on the earth looking back at extinct, and I'm standing on some ground that's about to sink. I ain't scared for a minute, I ain't about to blink, but I documented for the world what I see and think. Scared for a minute, I ain't about to blink. All Congress gonna do is waste paper and ink. Vote or die, you voted and you'll die. You can have it both ways, can't say it's a lie. You can march all you want, but they playing you wrong. They only understand war, it's the same old song. They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. War, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. Like a lotus coming out of the mud with colors, I create envy in those with power but jealous. I unify the poor with my song, the hell with the others. Descended the way they treat indigenous brothers, cause I understand we link forever. They try to hate us even though that we keep it together. I'm not talking about controlling the air or the weather, I'm talking about maintaining the truth, the high endeavor. A rebel drops bombs in the midst of trouble. The free world counterattack and now there's double, but nature gets the shit in the way to settle. If you stop the machines for a minute you might hear, but they won't cause the TV's whisper in the ear. And capitalism has eyes that don't tear, and they cloud up and get crazy and won't steer. And like an ab, it's hard to get an ass to listen. Living like this is like living in prison. It's hard to keep hope when you're living in prison. The spiritual thoughts, so yes, the mental prison. The outside, yes, it's got to get through. Something's gotta die, so something here can live. Your life is nothing if you got nothing to give. Keeping the spiritual, yes, disguised as religion. Controlling your mind, the mental prison. They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. War, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war.
Alrighty. 1, 2. Hope everybody is doing good today. I'm just going at it a little early. I was late for the late night scroll, but doing my best. I actually needed to rest a little bit. You know, like I said a couple of days ago or the last week, I was just not feeling 100% up. So I've been resting a little bit more because of my work hours. You know, they all of a sudden got kind of hectic. So, yeah, sometimes it could be overtime at the last minute or things like this. So sometimes you just got to know when to rest. But now I'm ready to roll. And what we got today is a closer analysis. Now, I just wanted to speak a little bit about ICE. Now, there's been some back and forth about ICE, debate about is ICE getting paid? Are they not getting paid? What federal workers are getting paid? And, you know, to really find out, the only way to really know is you have to either wait for legacy media to tell you, or you have to go in and read it yourself. And so it's been some confusion about that because they haven't always released the information. Now, ICE has already been allocated loads of money for all types of emergency cases. This is in its own bill, in the big, beautiful bill, right? And so they can move money around just in that bill. The funding that people are waiting for doesn't have much to do with that big, beautiful bill. As you could see, part of the government is shut down because of funding that won't come. So, but a lot of the funding that's already been allocated, ICE has already used. Department of Homeland Security, you know, when they move money around to pay federal workers, they're taking it from one place and putting it in another for emergency purposes, right? So that's the thing. So it turns out, as they spoke, they said ICE wasn't paid, and then they promised a super check that came later, right? So there was some confusion. And so maybe they got paid on the first, but we know damn sure that there was an issue with this shutdown about how are federal workers going to get paid and how is ICE going to get paid. And there still is, because even though there's this big, beautiful bill that people love, or some people love, the people that don't care about housing for the middle class, the people that don't care about health care for the middle class, the people that like to only talk about illegal immigrants as if that trumps any other business that you do in the wealthiest country on earth, right? While there's plenty of money for Trump, to tear down the White House. There's plenty of money for, Kristi Noem to buy 2 jets, ride around on 2 jets. That's taxpayer dollars. I mean, the federal budget is taxpayer dollars. It's taxpayer money. So if you live in the U.S., if you're a resident, a legal resident or a resident, if you work in the U.S., if you're a citizen, they're getting that money out of your paycheck, right? And so that money is paying for that lavish lifestyle that Kristi Noem has. You see what I mean? At the same time, they're complaining about, Democrats, come on, don't shut the government down. Approve the bill, approve the funding, please, please. Well, they are desperate for the funding because they've been spending loads of money. And it's already been said that it could run out. And it looks like it's running out because look at how desperate they are for the Democrats to just say, let's fund the government. You see what I mean? So in any case, then there's also the issue about, so ICE did get a check and now they're getting an emergency check, but the shutdown affects all checks within a certain amount of time. And nobody knows the exact time, right? Because it's different for different federal workers, right? Like you heard, the Supreme Court also had emergency money to operate on. Guess what's happening to them because of the shutdown? That emergency money that was allocated and they can move around the Supreme Court is also running out. So I say, keep on asking ICE, how does it feel to wonder if you're going to get paid? And keep on saying, this is my tax dollars you're getting paid with, and I hope you don't get it. Be happy to say that. Now, it's also been reported that ICE, right, that they've actually had a practice of hiring people, or you could say, you could debate whether it's hiring, recruiting people, come into training and pay you, right? Start your paid training, right, from the taxpayer dollars, because it is paid training. Federal government pays trainees. You see, I mean, that's just what it is, right? Your taxpayer dollars goes to pay someone that they haven't even vetted for the job properly. Meaning fingerprints. They're actually training people they don't even have the fingerprints on. They're training people that turn out to be felons, bank robbers. Yes, it's facts. And if you don't like the facts, what can I do about that? I can't do anything about that. You need gas to drive your car. You need, or if it's an electric car, you need electricity to drive your car. That's facts. That's not anything special. It just is what it is. You're supposed to have those things lined up. And so there's a lot of debate about that, the practices, the hiring practices of ICE. Now, it's already known, but people should research this on their own, that the federal government hires dual citizens. That means people that are citizens of other countries. And if you're kicking someone out of a country, that's a good topic to take up. What country do you come from? What country are you a citizen of? I mean, to me, it's all in the same field because I know I'm a citizen of one country. I'm proud of that citizenship. Although I don't live in the country, I live outside, but I'm not faking like I'm something that I'm not. You see what I mean? I would never fake like I'm Danish because I'm not Danish. I'm American. I live in Denmark. That's okay also. That's really okay. You know, you have the same rights, except I don't vote for the leader of the parliament, right? But the local government I still vote for, right? I still have the same rights as every other Dane. Anything wrong with that? No, I think that's pretty cool, right? Follow the same rules as everybody else, right? Which are fine with me. I think that's pretty fine. But when it comes to this thing about who somebody is, I think Americans need to look into it when tax dollars are going into their pockets and they're showing that they're willing to treat other American citizens like shit. I think you need to know who that person is wearing that badge. You need to know things. That's what I think, especially when they're running around talking about who has the right to be somewhere when the previous government already gave them sanction, already gave them safe haven. You see what I'm saying? Like when you're going around in a country treating people like shit, folks should want to know who the hell you really are. What type of American are you? And are you a citizen of another country even? You see? But on that note, we're not here to talk about that today. Today, we're actually here to talk about the goddamn healthcare system because, yes, that is a problem. Even though you have loads of people out there that haven't figured it out yet, that is going to be a problem. It's actually a problem, and it's going to be a big problem. Now, I did a little bit of research on the data. To know how this is going to affect you, you need to know what the median income is in each state because it varies, right? You need to know what the cost of living is, the median cost of living in each state is, right? Then you need to look and see how much money does the average person in that state, the median, right? The average person, the multitude, the largest population, how much money before the heightening of healthcare, how much money before the big beautiful bill, how much money do they have in their pockets after they pay their taxes, their rent, their electricity, their education, their hospital fees, whatever it is, all types of shit. You know, whatever your expenses are, food, clothes, whatever that is, what's the medium, right? And you need to see how much money does the average person have left over after that, right? So I looked a little bit into that and we're going to go through some of it. Then I asked, well, what happens if that healthcare fee doubles? Just double, not even triple, because the experts are saying it can double, it can triple, it can quadruple for some people. But it will at the very least double. So I said, what does it look like when it doubles? And let me tell you, for the medium people with jobs, that puts most of those people in the minus. That means minus $600 a month. Yeah, you basically have to get off of health care. That's what it's going to mean. But it's no surprise to the people, to the Democrats, because they've been telling people this all the time. But if you don't go through the numbers yourself, you might believe the hype, you know, because Republican MAGA hype goes a long way. That has gone further. The MAGA hype has gone further than any other hype in the history of mankind. You know, it's all hype, all failure too. They never finish the job. You see what I mean? They always get it wrong across the board, you know? So let's start off and take a look at this and see what we got.
Which U.S. states use Obamacare the most?
Yeah, Miko, let me...
Exactly. Which U.S. states use Obamacare the most? Which U.S. states use Obamacare the most? That's a good question.
Just level set for people. I think everybody may know what I'm going to say, but let me just be diligent and say it. Americans get their health care in a number of ways. About half of them, a little over half of them, get it through their employer. The rest who have health care get it through the government, some through Medicaid and others through these marketplaces. The marketplaces were created under Obamacare to allow people who don't get their health care in other ways to buy it with some help from the government. And it's been enormous take-up of it, particularly because in 2021, in the Biden administration, these subsidies were substantially expanded to cover more people at incomes. They're still very modest, but up from the bottom. And so what's happened is that between 2025, you had more than a doubling of people enrolling in these marketplaces. There are now 24.2 million people enrolled in these marketplaces. Where was the biggest increase over the last 3 years? It was in red states. 157% increase in the number of people in the market.
Most MAGA people, obviously they don't do the data. MAGA Mike Johnson, who's really a monster, right? The Republicans overall, they don't do data, and they don't share data with their constituency, right? With their voters, right? So their voters, a lot of MAGA people, a lot of red state voters didn't know, because they've been told that Democrats, you got to remember, Trump ran on a platform that the Democrats are the deep state. Boo-hoo, be scared of them. Don't trust them, y'all. Don't trust them. And so a lot of MAGA people, they've been listening to QAnon, really like grown ass people with calculators in their hands, people that go to work, they're actually not willing to just calculate their own shit themselves. You know what I'm saying? And find out who's telling the truth. No, they just believed online conspiracy sites. Just like they did with the Epstein files. They literally believed Hillary Clinton was drinking baby blood on Epstein Island. Then they literally found out that when Trump got elected, they had to come out and say, that's a total hoax. None of it was true. And then they flipped it and they're like, that was a Democrat hoax. So in the beginning, it was the conspiracy QAnon hoax, all the disinformation pages that, these MAGA people loved. As soon as he got elected, he switched the tone. Totally different. Now it's Democrat. The same set of words and views are Democrat hoax. You tell me. I mean, goddamn, sounds like a used car salesman to me. If I bought some shit from a person and after I got it, it turned out to be the exact opposite, I might wring their fucking neck. You know what I'm saying? I don't let people rob me, but MAGA people, if you just say the right set of words, you can rob them. And this is what it literally looked like. They use more of the healthcare that they criticize and that they asked Trump to take away. They literally asked Trump to take away the form of healthcare that their own families rely on the most. That's what happens when you just believe and you don't do any research yourself. Of course, I'm not MAGA. I have health care. And I got universal health care too. Because I live outside of the U.S. See, I didn't make a MAGA move with my life. You know what I'm saying? So I still got health care, I mean, it's fucking sad, but you can't drag a horse to water. You can't drag a horse to water. All you could do is laugh after it. The people I feel sorry for are the people that didn't fucking choose this and said it's wrong from the beginning and fought against it and now are stuck with it because stupid maggot people were so dumb they didn't realize they were committing suicide to themselves first and foremost. Like, when you get in the Kool-Aid line to commit suicide, who's going to drink the Kool-Aid first? MAGA people were like, give me that fucking Kool-Aid. I want to be first. Get out of my way. They fought to be cut off of healthcare first. They fought to be in the front of the Kool-Aid line. And they if you wanted to be in the Kool-Aid line too, they would have pushed your ass out the way. Rude, get the fuck out of my way. Then called you an illegal immigrant. Who the fuck are you? And just to get in the front of the Kool-Aid line. And this is what it looks like.
Marketplaces versus 36% in blue states. You can see that. Where was the biggest increase over the last 3 years? It was in red states. 157% increase in the number of people in the marketplaces versus 36% in blue states. You can see that also over here on this map, where you see that a number of red states, Texas, Utah, and so forth, all have over 10% of their people enrolled in the marketplace, Why is this so much a factor in the red states? Because Medicaid was not expanded in many of these states. States had an option back after Obamacare was passed whether to expand Medicaid or not. The red states often didn't.
So Trump told these people, yes, he did. This was during Biden's administration. There was an option put out there to expand it. And Trump told people don't support it. These red states. See, the blue states said, yeah, we'll take it. Texas was one that said, man, fuck you. We don't take anything from liberals, even though it ain't even your fucking. The liberals are paying more federal taxes to help people like you. And they were like, we don't need your stinking liberal offer. MAGA or never. That's literally what they said. And so those states, they just, I mean, it's their money. They could have said, yeah, fuck it. Why not? Why not be expanded with our coverage? Why not give my wife a little peace? Why not give my kids a little peace to know that if they get in an accident, they will get help? Why not give the teacher in the school a little peace to know that if he or she gets in the hospital, they get help? Why not give the trash man that peace? If he falls off the trash truck in the morning at 6 a.m., knocks his head on the ground, why not just give him a little more peace? Right? I mean, you want to fund Israel, right? Not that I got an issue with that myself, although I do now because they just blatantly violating all types of shit. But they have health care. Americans pay for Israelis to have health care that Americans don't even fucking have. I mean, what sense does that make? What sense does it make? Yo, but they said no. And this was in Biden's term. I mean, they could have said yes. The blue states said, fuck it, we'll take it. Thanks you guys. Thanks for everybody who voted for this. We could use that in our state. The red states, they said they could have changed. But see, now they doubled down on it and voted for the big, beautiful bill. So
people had less insurance in some states. States had an option back after Obamacare was passed whether to expand Medicaid or not. The red states often didn't. So there are people.
I mean, it started in the Obama thing, but it went on. It's been going on the whole time. They could have done it under Trump. They could have done it under Biden.
Less insurance, and so when this happened, they took advantage of it. And you can also see down here, if you look by Republican congressional districts across the country, almost 8% of people are in the marketplaces, whereas only 6.3% of the Democrats. So that's why Marjorie Taylor Greene is so exercised about this, is because
Marjorie Taylor Greene, all I have to say is that I don't agree with most of her policies, but I have to say, she's the only Republican that spoke the truth about this. She actually cared about you folks. And the rest of these motherfuckers didn't, yo. They in the pocket. They're in the pocket of the corporations. MAGA Republicans they've been infested by corporations. Like it's an exorcist. You know, not an exorcist. It's a, what do they call that? Damn, when a spirit takes over your body, you know, the corporate side of the U.S., the big money side, they have bought them all off. They bought them. You know, Marjorie Greene Taylor is the only one that actually cared to say, damn, these poor white folk, and also other folks that live in those states. But mostly you could see the MAGA people. The states they're mostly represented in, where their population is largest, where they have the most congressional votes, where they're represented more, right? She looked at those states and said, damn, you know, this is going to hurt my people. And nobody else said that. She's the only one that said what Democrats said. This is going to hurt my people. It just turns out that, you know, it's going to hurt them more. So she did the right thing by speaking up. But it also goes to show you that why does it take a person that looks a certain way for you to hear what they have to say? You know, I mean, you could have heard Biden. Why does it take even not just how you look? Why does it take a certain persuasion before you can hear what someone's saying out of their mouth? Like, if I tell you I'm a liberal, that shouldn't block everything that I'm saying. You should still be able to hear what I'm saying, because it doesn't matter that I call myself a liberal. It shouldn't matter that I call myself a Democrat, because that's so wide of a party. There's still differences in those parties. There's different kind of liberals. There's different kind of Democrats. Some are more center. Some are more, further out. Just like there's different kind of Republicans, or there used to be, some more center, some further to the right. So you should still be able to listen to what somebody's telling you and get the information and think about it, right, before you dismiss it. And a lot of people, a lot of MAGA people, right off the bat, I would say 90%, dismissed everything by any expert who was paid by their own tax dollars to tell them. This is just government data that they're putting out there. This is the data you pay for to be collected. This is the data overseen by also Republicans who collect data in their state from the state level and give it and pass it on to the federal level. You just didn't listen to it because you believe in the boogeyman. Well, it turned out the guy you voted for is the actual real boogeyman, Trump.
Because it is heavily a red state phenomenon.
So let's talk about fact checking some of the claims that we have heard from the White House. What can you tell us?
Well, so the healthcare cuts. Let me just finish on the impact on red states versus blue states. Red states use these premium tax credits almost twice as frequently as the blue states, and you can see that here. And the benefit,
do me a favor, click the like button if you haven't done that. Thanks, I appreciate that.
Credits almost twice as frequently as the blue states.
Average share of population using premium tax credit. You see, 7.0 in red states, 3.4 blue states. Do you understand? You are going to be twice as much affected by what the Republicans have suggested. Red states will be. And I'm going to tell you, listen, this whole thing, you may not realize it. Red state people, just listen to me. You should be able to listen to a fellow American. You should be able to decipher the difference between a liberal Democrat that lies and a liberal Democrat that tells the truth. Right? Because there's both. Now, I'm going to tell you some truth. I have universal health care because I live outside of the U.S. in another Western country, in another NATO country. My family goes back to on both sides to the colonial period in the U.S. I'm born and raised in Washington, D.C. I'm about to tell you something. Everything in that big, beautiful bill affects populations that live in red states more. Okay? You don't want to know what can happen to your state if this government doesn't come out of a shutdown. If these motherfucking Republicans do not go to work, show up, do their job, which is consult and discuss with Democrats who are there already. If you don't find a reasonable way out of this shutdown, most of your states are functioning, have a lifeline from federal dollars, mainly. What about the weapon making states, the states where all those weapons are made? Who do you think's paying the bill for that? What about where all those bases are? Who do you think's paying the base for that? Those nuclear sites, those bases in the center of the country. Who do you think's paying the bills for that? What do you think happens to that economy if those military people stop getting paid? That means they stop going out into their communities and buying a sandwich, shopping because they have kids, buying kids clothes, going out to the restaurants, going out to anything, to the movies, doing anything that regular people do when they off a duty, when they're off their job that day, because a lot of them have families. A lot of those towns function off of federal dollars. You should really think about that. Like, don't you have a responsibility to yourself beyond your party if you have a motherfucking brain. I have a responsibility to myself as a liberal, as a Democrat, beyond my motherfucking party, which just happens to be Democrat. You know what I'm saying? But there's limits. There's points where I have to look out for myself, even though I'm a Democrat, where I have to think for myself. You see what I mean? My loyalty to myself is greater than my party. I just roll with Democrats because they're organized. They know what the hell they're doing. They function. I want my shit working for me. You see what I mean? Goddamn. So I'm not dissing Democrats. They're doing a hell of a good job. I mean, they're the only functioning party the USA even fucking has. They actually know what the fuck they're talking about, and a lot of Americans get lazy and criticize them. Yo, you're lazy. You better wake the fuck up. They may not be perfect, but you better wake the fuck up. If you don't have something better, that's your motherfucking fault yourself. Complaining won't get you out of that deal. Now, this is what you got. The Democrats said this is going to be fucked up for you, and you didn't listen.
And you can see that here. And the average benefit in the red states is $580 a month, which is $5,700 a year is the average benefit people are getting, also higher than in the blue states. And one last point on this, if you look at the increase in uninsured that...
Look at this shit. This is just off the board. If you look at the increase in the uninsured...
will occur... dollars a year is the average benefit people are getting, also higher than in the blue states. And one last point on this, if you look at the increase in uninsured that will occur based on what was passed in the One Big Beautiful Bill, both the reduction in these premium tax credits as well as the Medicaid cutbacks, you can see again that this is going to hit the red states harder.
I told people this is a suicide cult. I told people if there was a black Nazi, his name would be Trump, because he is literally committing genocide against poor white Americans that live in red states. That's what this is. And when you look at the data, more data to qualify this data, complementary data, like how much does the average person in each state get paid? How much money do they have left over after they pay all their bills, taxes, bills, expenses, utilities, rent, all that shit? Or if you own a home, if you don't own it outright, you still got to pay the bank. Food for your kids, clothing, transportation. After you have all that shit, qualifying information, you might want to know how much money do you have left over in your pocket every month. And when you find that out, and when you know that, and then you know how much more you're about to pay for health care, you need to be running the fuck out of your fucking house right now and running to your congressional members' fucking home and goddamn exploding your fucking head. Because you're about to be out on the street because you won't be having both. You won't be having food in your mouth and your fucking health care. And, it's so funny because people thought the Democrats were exaggerating just because they were being calm, cool, collective. People don't like Hakeem Jeffries because he's calm, cool, collective, concise, because they're not trying to start a fire. They're not running outside saying, fire, y'all, fire. Civil war, y'all, civil war. They're not saying that, no. But they told you the information in a calm, cool, collected manner that was concise, and you just didn't fucking hear it. Oh, well.
7 out of 10 of the most reduction in these premium tax credits people are getting, also higher than in the blue states. And one last point on this, if you look at the increase in uninsured that will occur based on what was passed in the One Big Beautiful Bill, both the reduction in these premium tax credits as well as the Medicaid cutbacks, you can see again that this is going to hit the red states harder. 7 out of 10 of the most affected states will be red states. And so people are waking up to this. And in fact, there was a poll, to the point Claire made about polls, there was a poll that 78% of Americans support these tax credits, and even a majority of self-identified MAGA people support these tax credits.
Okay, so in the chat, if you're an American citizen, do you support the tax credits being extended? Put a 1 in the chat if you support the tax credits being extended. Put a 2 in the chat if you still don't. I mean, it's just to, have an idea who we dealing with today. And it changes from day to day. Put a 1 in the chat if you believe the tax credits should be extended. Put a 2 in the chat if you believe they shouldn't be. And tell me what town you're in or what state you're in. I'm curious. I know there's going to be some goddamn hard-headed people. You know what I'm saying? I want them to be extended. So I'm going to put a 1. I hope I said that right. If you want it extended, put a 1 in the chat. If you don't, put a 2 in the chat. 1. I want it to be extended because, first of all, I have empathy for people in red states. I think genocide is wrong. You know what I'm saying? But, you know what I'm saying? What the fuck? I don't see how any rational person, unless you hate the people in the red states. And like I say all the time, if you're a troll from Russia or China, I can understand you posing as a MAGA person and saying, no, man, we don't want the tax. We want the tax cuts to end. We want them to end. I can understand because you want these dumbass people to believe you and kill themselves. I get it. You know what I'm saying? There it is. Like some people just, but you got to keep in mind there's trolls, so, that's all trolls can do is say some dumb shit, but here it is. This is, to be honest, this is everybody's, no matter what party you're with, these subsidies come out of your, pocket. Federal, people that pay payroll tax and pay federal taxes from their check. However, there's 2 different types that go to the feds from your check. It's not all payroll, but so let's just say federal taxes that come out of your check. You pay for this. So imagine paying for something and having it taken away, and it fucking hurts you the most. I mean, that's what doesn't even make any sense, because if you expanded it, you would be doing better. You know what I'm saying? Like, anyway, this is just.
Now, to your point, Joe, on fact checking, one of the things the Republicans have been saying is that a lot of undocumented or illegal immigrants are getting health care.
Oh, yes. Here we go. Yeah, the magic wand. So we got to be, when they say illegal immigrant, what they really mean is middle class and poor. You just have to understand it's code for that, because if there's any illegal immigrants in there that are affected, that's like 1% out of the 80% that's going to be affected by this. You see what I'm saying? So nobody in their right mind allows one motherfucking person. You don't go after one person, remove that one person while you're removing 10 other people that it shouldn't be removed from. That means you're dumb about how you go about shit. And this is literally what they've tricked these people into doing. They're saying, if you can get rid of one, yeah, what the fuck? Yeah. And they don't even realize, yo, that's your shit they talking about. Your medical benefits. They literally found a way to talk about your medical benefits that you pay for out of your paycheck. They literally found a way to talk about taking it away using code language. Illegal immigrant. It's just code language. Yo, you MAGA people, if you want a better America, you need to get your shit together and get these greedy motherfuckers like Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, because I'm going to tell you, JD Vance, the shit he was talking when he released his book, Hillbillyology or whatever the hell that is, before he became the vice president on his Peter Thiel Rise campaign, he said some things in that book about you in the red states, them Appalachians, those Appalachians. I should pull that shit up because it's here. You might want to know what he said, because he basically said, you're dumb and you're easily used by your false pride. And that's exactly what they running on your ass right now. Peter Thiel, Elon Musk. Hitler. all this racist shit because they know if they just feed you that, you're uneducated enough to not realize when they take your daddy's house, your granddaddy's house from you. And this will do it. You know why? Because if you want to keep your health care, I mean, actually the price is going up in the health care. You either going to lose your house to keep health care or you're going to fucking die. You choose. It's a bad choice. Either the choice Republicans are giving you, because you ain't going to pay for both. You're not going to be able to pay for that, whatever money you borrowed on your house. You ain't going to be able to keep those payments up with the price of living and the health care going up. So one or the other is happening. You know, if you say, you know what, fuck health care, we don't need it, and somebody gets sick in your family, they could probably die for you to keep that house. You know, why should you have to make that choice when everybody won't? Donald Trump won't have to make that choice. And guess who's going to come in and buy your house up? The bank. Whose money is invested all in our bank? You see, I mean, you really, this is a sad game here. This is so sad. It's called being illiterate. I mean, a lot of these people, they can read, but they can comprehend, but it's so low. The level of their reading and the level of their comprehension is so low. It really doesn't allow them to know how shit works at all, you know.
Through our federal system. That is simply not true. People support these tax credits.
Let's hear the Mac game again. And I know that you could tell people it's not true, it's not true, it's not true a million times. And there's a percentage of these MAGA people that are going to go in the volcano voluntarily. But it ain't going to be me.
Now, to your point, Joe, on fact checking, one of the things the Republicans have been saying is that a lot of undocumented or illegal immigrants are getting health care through our federal system. That is simply not true. They cannot get health care through Medicaid. They can't take advantage of these tax credits. None of that is true. All they can do is go to an emergency room, and under federal law, anyone who goes to an emergency room must be treated. The government reimburses the hospitals for that.
Now, how is it that I can be an American citizen, live outside of the U.S., have health care, universal health care, follow these political debates, have a reading comprehension level and a comprehension level high enough to understand that already and report it to people? You know, I've been reporting this shit to people the whole time. And you still get people coming in your chat talking about, no, that's not how it works. Yo, they're literally talking about fucking up emergency care. How can you got to understand something. If you get in an emergency, I'll give you a real simple example. If that illegal immigrant that you're so worried about, who's a rapist, who's a pedophile, who's a burglar, who's a robber, who's a axe murderer, who's a trafficker, finds your daughter, shoots her ass in the neck, takes her purse from her just because he won a sandwich, happens to take her ID with her, emergency services shows up, can't identify who she is. Do you realize this is what they're proposing? They're proposing that she gets no emergency care because they can't fucking identify whether she's American or not. You can't get it through your stupid fucking head. Like, you red state people need to wake the fuck up. And you also need a little history lesson, because in the Reagan era, they were already doing the same bullshit. And it wasn't even about immigrants. It was about just if you ain't got the money. Loads of people that didn't have health care couldn't afford any health care. This is before Obamacare. You see, people were being denied emergency care, American citizens. Don't you realize Obamacare was designed to resolve shit like that? And the issue was American citizens. Now the Republicans come back and find a way. Well, damn, we see that it's fucked up to say American citizens can't get health care. But what we'll do is we'll frame it as illegal immigrants are getting the money. No, they're not. There's no way to stop illegal immigrants from getting or immigrant or anybody from getting emergency care without fucking up the emergency care for everybody. That's the problem. And even so, the percentage that would get emergency care is worth the fact that everyone else who's legal and a citizen will also fucking get it. That's better than the way the system was before. And now you're about to roll it back voluntarily, and you and your states will be affected by it most, because a lot of blue states also give additional tax money to hospitals for everybody to have emergency care. Just emergency care. That means if you get run over by a car, the ambulance doesn't sit there trying to find your motherfucking insurance card or find out whether you're American or who the fuck you are. They just take your ass to the hospital and fix you, and then they say, hey, we wrapped your leg up, now get the fuck out. If you need some help later, oh well. If you need some pills, oops, better get some health care. You know, that's what they're talking about. And these MAGA people, you guys, you have to be called fucking dumb. You have to be called dumb until you see this. If you don't see this, you are fucking dumb. That's all it is. Like, and you better fix it, because there's no liberals out here trying to harm you. There's no liberals out here trying to take away your way of life, like these MAGA mouth talking pieces, you know, Sean Hannity have been saying. Nobody wants to force you to be gay. Nobody want to force you to be transgender. What the fuck? Yo, I'm not gay. I'm not transgender, but I'm also not into their fucking private business. I don't want to be sitting around talking about transgender this and gay this. I'm not gay. What the fuck? Straight people talk about regular shit that straight people talk about. Heroin addicts talk about heroin, how good it is. Cokeheads talk about how good the coke is. Alcoholics talk about that goddamn liquor. You know, if you're not one of them, it ain't in your brain. You know, so what the fuck? You know, but here, let's go.
But if you look at all of the Medicaid spending, only 0.4% is on this emergency room subsidy, which not just includes undocumented immigrants, includes all Americans of every sort who go there.
Look at this. 0.40%. Not even 1%. Illegal immigrants get emergency care. Not even 1%. And you giving up all your motherfucking health care for not even 1%. Hey, the devil is in the detail. You know, I'm sorry. I mean, the only reason why I'm laughing is because, like I said, I have an obligation to myself first. And the choices I made in my life were goddamn way better. If you made better choices than Republicans have made from their states with their votings, clap your hands, y'all. You deserve a pat on the back. You did good by yourself. You did good for yourself. You're clever. You're intelligent. You know, you seeing what's going on. You know what I mean? You're aware. You woke. Or maybe just not dumb as fuck. You know, goddamn, does it have to be the choices woke or dumb as fuck? If that's the choice, I'm woke. What the fuck? Because the other alternative is dumb as fuck. Because this is dumb as fuck.
So you're talking about a trivial amount of money that perhaps an undocumented immigrant is able to take advantage of.
You feel me?
The other thing that we have to point out is that this is going to have a significant impact on hospitals. And again, something the Trump administration has not acknowledged. More than 40% of hospitals in America lose money, and an even higher percentage of rural hospitals lose money. And so what's been happening for a long time is closure of rural hospitals, very few opening. And so again, you can see that what part of the pressure on
this is what you call Republican genocide. I mean, like I was saying, if there was a black Nazi, it would be Trump. Because he is gutting these Don't you understand who works in these hospitals? That's a job. A person that works in the hospital, they got a salary to work in that hospital. They have to go out and buy a sandwich, go to the movies, take their kids out on the weekends, have dinner in a restaurant, buy some clothes out in the clothes boutique. You know, maybe do something else. Go to the park, go to the amusement park, do whatever you want to do. Go out on a date, eat a steak dinner, go, you know, whatever. Fuck, I don't know. Whatever people do. Order some Netflix and chill because I got paid. I'm going to play my, whatever it is, you know, go, whatever you want to do because you got a job. Those people in those red states in them hospitals, no more job. You won't be going to that restaurant that another red state person owns. You won't be going to that clothing boutique that another red state person owns. You won't really be doing shit. You won't be buying shit. Your economy in those red states just took a major motherfucking hit. Why? Why?
On these Republican congressmen is their rural hospitals are under enormous pressure.
Yeah, they certainly are. And that chart that you showed, again, talking about the percent.
Be anything else but a Republican. Just be anything. No, I'm not begging you to join the Democratic Party. I don't give a fuck because this is beyond straight or gay. This is beyond tranny or straight. This is beyond, is she a man or a woman? This is beyond that. This is prime. This is basic. Do you want a motherfucking shelter, some oatmeal in your stomach? Do you want anything? That's what this is about. And they was like, nope, fuck no, because that 1% over there, that 0.40, man, we got to stop that. They were like, be damned with the 60%. Be damned with them all, even myself first. I'll be damned first. Let me get in the Kool-Aid line first. You liberals, get the fuck to the back of the Kool-Aid line. I'm going up front. I'm MAGA. I'm elite MAGA. You know what I'm saying?
Percentage of the ER visits for Medicaid. It is such a small percentage. And let me explain. And that's not even, that 0.4% is not for illegal immigrants. That's the total.
That's the total. That's the total immigrant. Yo, that's not. Hold
and
on.
so whatever small.
That's not illegal immigrant. That's also visitors, tourists, anybody else, people that don't have health care, all that shit into that. You know,
Small percentage subset that is of that is how little it is. And just like Scalia, Justice Scalia said, if you're in America, then the Constitution protections apply to you. In 1986.
Yes. You know, before this election, I was talking to a lot of black MAGA supporters. They had every argument in the book because they didn't research the details. I really hope you all are taking stock of those conversations we had last year coming up to the election right now. I really hope you're listening. And let me tell you something. Ain't nothing personal to me because I'm doing my job. I'm supposed to pass on helpful information that's factual to people, to be for the better good of everybody. I'm not going to deny anyone who needs, help, proper help to understand what's going on. But you better understand now what you did last year is you cut off your family's lifeline. That was the choice you were making. And you made it because you dabble in a lot of disinformation websites. You dabble. Also, who are a lot of these buffoons out there talking about FBA and all this shit? Yo, listen, I don't have an issue with anybody's ethnicity, what you want to call yourself, FBA, you want to call yourself something. Fuck all of that. All of that defies what this conversation was about. And they didn't even want to have a conversation about it. See, that's what makes me wonder, how can you be ADOS or FBA and you ain't worried about your motherfucking health care? You're not worried about your sister's health care, your mother's health care, your father's health care, your children's health care. And you cannot tell me, being black in America, me and living in one of these red states, you cannot tell me this is not an issue you need to be well versed on. You cannot tell me that. You see, all this shit that Trump brought is fucking you up. All of it across the board. There's no excuse. You will never own more land than Trump and Elon Musk. They got more money than you. Whatever little ragtag people that get kicked out of their homes and you real estate investors want to buy up real quick because you got a little bit of money and you just go private. Yo, whatever game plan you got, they doing that 1,000 times better than you. You getting the scraps. Everybody else in your community is getting kicked the fuck out of their house. You know, how can you be FBA, ADOS, and you don't give a fuck about nobody in your community? How they going to be affected? Yo. And I'm just saying, I'm not saying all of them. Yvette, what's her name? Yvette and them, they tend to ADOS. They tend to get into data and talk about the real data. I understand that, right? But me, myself, I'm not into the shenanigans. But the FBA, the leadership in the FBA, man, y'all better wake the fuck up. You better wake the hell up quick. There's a lot better ways to have a conversation about the descendants of the slave trade in the United States than that leadership is having. You know, maybe that shit is just phony ass leadership working with Trump so he can win the election again. Who knows?
Ronald Reagan said, if you're in America, a hospital cannot lock you out of their emergency
Who are you going to support next time? J.D. Vance?
room and let you die in the bushes. Yes, that was the radical Ronald Reagan.
You know, that was the play up. This FBA shit really, I'm sorry to say this, but a lot of it looked like the play up to division before the election to get you to vote for Trump, thinking that you would kick out some immigrants, but really the real target was your black ass.
Who signed that into law in 1986. Morning Joe Economic.
Anybody that thinks Trump was out to help your black ass, you are fucking dumb. You are just goddamn dumb. Like, goddamn. You deserve the same thing. Anybody, you deserve the same thing the MAGA folks are getting. The poor white folks is getting. You're dumb. You're dumb. You're fucking stupid. You are politically illiterate. That can never pay off in the United States of America. Never. Not when you got the richest man on earth buying up everything behind your fucking back. You are subsidizing Elon Musk. And you worried about a goddamn illegal immigrant? You every day you go to work, you're subsidizing the richest motherfucker on earth who doesn't like your black ass or your poor white ass any fucking way because he's an elitist. Did you even read Peter Thiel's books? Have you ever read? These motherfuckers are elitists. They don't give a fuck about no broke people, no middle class people. Nah, I'm just saying.
Analyst Steve Ratner, thank you so much.
Anyway, those were the facts. People heard the facts there. So let me migrate over to the data part. Boop, boop. And let's see how it looks. Let me see. Where the hell is this at right here? Boom. Okay. So first what I did was get into the medial income. Then I get into the medial expenses state by state. So let me go down to where it just goes to state by state so we can and then carry on from there because I had to narrow down some of the questions so we get the most not accurate but concise information for this point. So let's see here.
I can't reliably list a precise current average salary for all 50 states plus DC because different sources report different definitions, mean versus median, full-time only versus all employees, and many haven't published 2025 numbers yet. But I can share a well-accepted recent breakdown of median full-time salaries by state with DC, as compiled by Visual Capitalist. Visual Capitalist. Here's how states compare in median full-time earnings, civilian 16+, year-round, and some context observations. Median full-time salaries by state DC rank, state district, median full-time salary UAD. 1. District of Columbia, 102,970, Visual Capitalist. 2. Massachusetts, 79,113, Visual Capitalist. 3. Washington, 76,323, Visual Capitalist. 4. Maryland, 74,982 list. 5. New Jersey, 74,164 list. 6. Connecticut, 72,000 visual capitalist. 7. Colorado, 72,000 T8 tabularist. 8. New York, 3,254. The North. 9. California, 70,000 visual capitalist. 10. New Hampshire, 69,275. Visual capitalist. 11. Alaska, 69,012. Virginia, 67,309. Visual 13. Rhode Island, 67th in 142. 14. Minnesota, 66,932. 15. Illinois, 65,500 at Thurgood. 16. Oregon, 65,360. 17. Vermont, 64,099. Visual capital.
And this is
Utah,
before taxes.
62,249. 19. Pennsylvania, 61,973. 20. Delaware, $61,651. Visual 21. Maine, $60,948. Visual 22. Hawaii, 60,836. London, Wisconsin, 60,830. Visual 4. Michigan, 60,630.
Click the like button.
Visual capitalist 25. Arizona, 6,459. 26. Ohio, 63,900. 27. North Dakota, 60,130. 28. 59,240. Visual capitalist. 29. Texas, 58,650. 30. Idaho, $58,446. 31. North Carolina, $57,727. 32. Iowa, $57,016. 33. Kansas, $58,030. 34. Wyoming, $57,343. 35. Indiana, $50,003. Visual capitalist, $56,723. Visual capitalist. Missouri, $56,010. Visual Kate, Montana, $55,992. 39. South Dakota, $55,707. 40. South Carolina, $55,325. Forcan, Tennessee, $55,000. Visual Cap 2, Nevada, $54,800. Visual Capitally, Florida, $54,311. Visual Capitalist. Visual Key 4, New Mexico, 55. Kentucky, $53,824. 46. Alabama, $53,459. 47. Louisiana, $52,959. 48. West Virginia, $52,008. 49. Oklahoma, 51.
Right.
50. Arkansas, $50,899. 51. Mississippi, $50,120. Open quote. U.S. overall median for full-time workers saw $61,702 per year. Visual capitalist, close quote. Observations and caveats. D.C. is an outlier because many high-paying sectors, federal government, law, consulting, are concentrated there. Its median is far above any state. Visual capitalist. The gap is large.
You got the idea here. People, if they want, they can go in and look even more themselves. But this gives you a general idea. Now, here we go. Can you do the same charge and put average cost of living? Okay, so this is where I tried to get the average cost of living in there, and then what I did after this is I compared the two, right? And then after that, then I asked how much money do people have left over, right? So let's see. Let's go here, and then the last thing I asked is if the cost of I just verified whether these expenses, cost of living, also included healthcare, and they do. So you can know that. And then I said, if the healthcare doubles, what will they have left? Oh, I'm gonna tell you something. Most people, the average person across all these states is going to be in the minus, yo. A lot of people. I'm talking about the average earner, the union job person, the average, the person that drives a bus, the person that just works in you could say your average job. You saw what it is, 60,000, 70,000. Yo, people are about to take a serious hit. People. Anyway, let me just play this. A little bit. Yeah, it's really sad. I'm going to put in the chat to the link to the ChatGPT information too, so folks can look into it also and they can read it later.
What you're asking for. Combining average median incomes by state with cost of living measures is a very useful but also complex task. The challenge is that different sources define both average income and cost of living differently, and they're often from different years or methodologies, so any table will necessarily be approximate. But I can assemble a representative sample and explain how to interpret it, plus point you to sources so you can expand it. Below is a sample for a selection of states and DC showing a recent median or mean income figure, a cost of living index or measure, an adjusted income or real value, income higher cost index where available. Sample table, income plus cost of living. Select states DC. State DC, income median mean, cost of living index, approx adjusted income, notes. District of Columbia, $9,118.33 per mo, mean monthly, per Patriot Software data, i.e. 109 thoughts per year. Patriot Software very high, 440.4 index per Insure.com. Insure.com, because cost is so high, the real purchasing power is much lower than face income. California, 6,658 mean new 7,900 per Patriot Software. Patriot Software, 142.5, i.e. 42.5% above US average. Insure income, $79,900, or 1.425. $56,100 in national average equivalent. Massachusetts, median income needed to live comfortably, $160,022 a year for a single. Visual Capitalist cost index, 141.2, i.e. 41.2% above. Insure.com, adjusted income, $160,022, 1.2 for $82,200 equivalent. Texas, mean monthly wage, $58,650 a year. From Visual Capitalist, median, $58,650. Patriot Software, cost index 103, 3% above average. Insure.com, adjusted income, $58,650, 1.03, 56,908 days. Mississippi, median full-time salary, $50,120 a year, Visual Capitalist. Patriot Software, cost inty 7.8, i.e. 12.2% below average. Insure.com, adjusted income, $50,120 for 0.878. New York, salary needed comfortably, single, $111,738 well list. Cost index 124.8, 24.8%
Damn,
above.
that's what you need in New York.
Insure.com adjusted
for a single person.
111,738, 1.248, 89,500. TAR cost of living index here is relative to a US national average 100. Values 100 mean more expensive than average 100 mean cheaper. Interpretation and key takeaways. Even though nominal incomes are much higher in states like DC, California, Massachusetts, etc., the high cost of living erodes much of that advantage. In real terms, purchasing power, they may not be that far ahead of more modest states. Conversely, in lower-cost states, Mississippi, parts of the South, Midwest, even a modest nominal income can stretch further once you adjust for lower housing, utilities, taxes, etc. The adjusted income is a rough estimate and depends heavily on which cost index is used: housing, groceries, healthcare, etc. The example above uses just a few states to illustrate. Scaling this to all 50 plus DC is possible, but would require careful sourcing.
Okay, so you see that, right? Now, we're not talking about what the government shutdown does to local economies that depend on military bases for a lot of people to be employed and things like that. The shutdown has a different trajectory across the country. So, again, you red state people, you might want the shutdown to end. It's just a suggestion, you know? You don't have to take it at all. You don't have to negotiate with Democrats about health care. Hey, what the fuck? You could be suicidal as you want. It's not going to kill me. It's not going to kill me. I don't live in the U.S. I'm an American citizen, born and raised in Washington, D.C. But as an adult male, I live outside of the country in Copenhagen, Denmark, and I love it. Just to be honest, you know, especially when it comes to fairness, right? But my family goes back to the colonial period in the United States of America. So I love my people, and I know my country is under attack, so I'm going to do my part. Now, let's get to the part where they break it down a little more. Let me get further, because you need to see. Let's get to the gist of this. All right, here we go. Now we're going to combine these numbers, and then we're going to do the last one where it says if the healthcare doubles. So let's go.
Got it? Here's the complete breakdown from the CSV file, Q2 2025 data. Each row shows state or DC, median full-time annual income USD, cost of living index equals US average, adjusted income equals income bladder index logs 100, gives a sense of real purchasing power. State, median income, cost of living index, adjusted income USD with purchasing quiv. Alabama, 53,459, 88.6, 60, 321. Alaska, 69,063, 124.9, 55, 90. Arizona, 6451, 10.7, 54, 6, 125. Arkansas, 58, 899, 896, 56, 8, 17. California, 70,031, 142.3, 49, 217. Colorado, 72,028, 12.7, 70, 137. Connecticut, 5834. 112.7, 64, 616, Delaware, 61, 651, 101.9, 65 and 20. District of Columbia, 102, 38.8, 74 or 169. Florida, 54, 311, 102.2, 53, 136. Georgia, 59, 240, 92.5, 64, 032. Hawaii, 68, 36, 185.0, 32, 890. Idaho, 58, 476, 99.9. 58, 535, Illinois, 65, 513, 94.7, 69, 174. Indiana, 57, 3, 91.4. Iowa, 57, 16, 89.7, 64, 366. Kansas, 57, 18, 88.8, 64, 678. Kentucky, 58 and 24, 92.5, 58, 208. Louisiana, 52 9 and 59, 92.3, 57, 392. Maine, 69, 48. 120, 53, 9, 30, 30. Maryland, 74, 9, 82, 150.4, 64, 968. Massachusetts, 79, 100, 141.2, 56, 037. Michigan, 66, 13, 90.1, 67, 279. Minnesota, 66, 9, 32, 94.6, 70, 755. Mississippi, 51 to 87.3, 57, 4, 4 or 9. Missouri, 56, 289.0. 63, 157. Montana, 55, 92, 95.5, 58, 642. Nebraska, 56, 723, 92.6, 61, 2 and 81. Nevada, 54, 800.2, 54, 691. New Hampshire, 69, 275, 111.4, 62, 163. New Jersey, 74, 115.1, 64, 37. New Mexico, 54 and 3.7, 57, 29. New York, 72, 54, 125.1, 56, 155. North Carolina, 57, 77, 97.8, 59, 037. North Dakota, 61, 70, 91.4, 65, 8837. Ohio, 6300, 94.3, 63, 947. Oklahoma, 51, 676, 86.0, 60, 091. Oregon, 65, 360, 111.8, 58, 456. Pennsylvania, 61, 973. 97.2, 63, 779. Rhode Island, 67, 142, 110.6, 67, 110. South Carolina, 55, 3, 25, 94.7, 58, 409. South Dakota, 55, 708, 91.9, 60, 612. Tennessee, 55, 313, 90.3, 61, 236. Texas, 58, 650, 92.1, 63, 682. Utah, 62, 249, 102.2. 68,092, Vermont, 64, 971, 117, 100.6, 57, 198. Virginia, 67, 300, 100.8, 66, 774. Washington, 76, 323, 114.1, 66,
All right, we almost at the end of this.
West Virginia, 52,088.3, 58, 987. Wisconsin, 68,003, 7.7, 62, 232. Wyoming, 57, 43, 93.7, 61, 169. National median, approximate. U.S. median income, $61, $700. U.S. cost of living index, 100. Baseline adjusted income, 61, 700.
I mean, listen.
Quick takeaways. The highest nominal incomes are in D.C., Massachusetts,
Listen, just to make this make sense to a lot of people that may not get it, you're basically already spending all your money to survive. Just to, generally, we're talking about the general population in each state. Okay? If you listened carefully to what was being stated, how they're coming up with the numbers exactly, the methodology has been broken down precisely. If you don't get it, go back. If you don't comprehend it, go back and listen to it again. Now, do me a favor, click the like button. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. Yeah. And I appreciate everybody that's coming out. Now, and if I sound a little, don't get me wrong, if I have some criticism, don't get me wrong, it's out of love. You see what I mean? For most of y'all, it's out of love. So, yeah, but I need to be able to emphasize the point. And so sometimes if I sound like I'm getting a little heated, it's only to emphasize the point, because the point might be extremely important for you to get. It might impact your future in real ways. Ways like taking care of your kids, taking care of yourself, enjoying your life instead of struggling all of a sudden again, worrying, stressing. Instead of having a life that's smooth sailing, now you might, if you don't understand what I'm saying and don't take the warning serious, might be hurled and thrown into a life of stress and strife every fucking day. For what? That's why I get a little heated. But you don't have to listen. It's just out of love. Now let's get to the next part. And I'm going to drop these links in the chat so you can read them yourself. When I say cost of living, I mean dollar value. So now I want a dollar value put to that. And then I'm going to go to the healthcare part. But I'm going to skip this dollar value just because, look, it's just breaking down, again, what it already broke down so you can understand the methodology. 100% means you spending all your shit. If it's a little under, you get a little less. This kind of thing, cost of living. When you talk about the average, they talking about average. They're not talking about everybody. Now, in each state. Now, let's go here. Let's go to, let's see here. Hawaii. Okay, put all the data here. Average income, average cost of living side by side, right? So here we go. Now it's going to do that. It's asking me some questions before it does it. So just to make sure it knows the objective. So, and it started off doing it by 3 states, and then I asked to do it for all. So here we go. So now let's play this one. You're going to show what you got currently, generally speaking, what you got, right? What you got left over after you pay your expenses, state by state, before this big ugly bill kicks in.
V compiled the requested data, combining the Visual Capitalist median full-time income with the MIT living wage calculator estimates for a single adult, no children. MIT figures are based on hourly rates, which I converted to annual amounts, hourly equals 2,080 hours. DPROCH provides a comprehensive view of income versus essential living expenses across all 50 U.S. states and Washington, D.C. Combined table: median income versus living wage, single adult, no children, state median full-time income, USD, MIT living wage, annual USD, GAAP USD. Alabama, 53,459, 40,371, plus 13,088.
That's what you got
Alaska,
left to live off of.
69,063, 50 go 123,3, 18,940.
18 to
Arizona,
live off of a year.
60,459, 45,315, 122.
15 to
Arkansas,
live off of.
50,899. 39,925, 11,574. California, 70,031, 40,371, plus 29,666. Colorado, 72,220, Connecticut, 34, 55,691, 7,153. Delaware, 61,651, 337, plus 16,034. DC, 102,961, plus 41,063.
But keep in mind the
Florida,
cost of living in D.C.
54,111, 45,037, 8,974. Georgia, 59,240, 45,007, Center and Flowers. Hawaii, 60,836, 51,347, plus 9,489. Idaho, 58,476, 119. Illinois, 6,520,
Listen,
106.
okay, so
Indiana, 57,380,
I'm going to cut this short because anybody that's comprehending can see that most people, if you get it like less than $1,000 after you paid all your expenses to yourself a month, less than $1,000. Most of these people, 85, 90% of these people is getting $1,000. less than $1,000 after they pay for all their expenses. After they paid their taxes, their rent, their utilities, the blah, blah, blah. And this is before the hikes. This is not without any Trump inflation. This is not without the new price hikes on the healthcare. Look, this $11,000, let's say you're from Rhode Island, this $11,000 after you paid all your rent, after you got paid, after you paid taxes, paid all your rent, your expenses, food, healthcare, education, transportation, water, all that shit. You got less than $1,000 a year. That's a month. Less than $1,000 a month. That's $11,000 a year left. South Carolina, $9,000. The average person, $9,000. That's less than $1,000 a month. South Dakota, less than $1,000 a month. Tennessee, less than $1,000 a month. Do you want to know how much you already pay for your health care? Do you want to know? Because your health care might eat what you pay already is equal to this. If it doubles, that's it. Seriously. Now I'm going to tell you, I do data and I go over data. I do it for my stocks. I do it for a lot of different things. Now I check 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 9, 10 times. And I refer to other people to make sure my data makes sense too before I make a decision. I can tell you this data is very, very accurate, and you should be very, very concerned about what is about to happen. So concerned, you might want to get up off your ass and head right down to your congressional member's office if you're in a red state and ask them, listen, motherfucker, what the fuck are you doing? And just grab them up and what the fuck? Anyway, let's get to the next part. I'm going to put all this in the chat before I end the stream, but goddamn. So here, look at this. And what happens if the healthcare doubles or triples? Give me a rough percentage estimate of what is left after. Oh my God. And then I have a nerve to say state by state. You don't want to see this. 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 This is only double.
Perfect. I can calculate it. Here's the plan I'll use for all 50 states plus DC. Columns for each state. 1. Median full-time income USD from Visual Capitalist. 2. MIT living wage annual USD single adult includes healthcare. 3. Estimated healthcare portion assumes 17% of living wage total common for single adult. 4. Disposable income baseline equals median income minus MIT living wage. 5. Disposable income if healthcare doubles equals median income minus living wage minus healthcare plus 2 Wenzit's healthcare. 6. Disposable income if healthcare triples equals median income minus living wage healthcare plus 3 CAMS healthcare. This gives a rough estimate of how much median earners have left after essentials if healthcare costs rise. I'll produce a full 51-row table here. Here's the full 50 states plus DC. Table showing how median full-time income compares to essential living expenses under rising healthcare costs. Single adult, no children. Columns. Median income, annual median full-time income, Visual Capitalist. Living wage annual, MIT living wage estimate including healthcare. Healthcare estimate, estimated healthcare portion, 17%. Disposable base.
Listen.
Median income minus living wage. Baseline disposable
I'm going to stop
income.
it. I'm going to stop
disposable
it right here.
Healthcare double. Leftover if healthcare.
Listen, you can easily see that right here, you can't live off of, let me just give you an example. If it doubles, can you live off of $6,225 a year? Leftover after your expenses, Alabama, can you live off of this if it doubles? Alaska, can you live off of 10? Alaska, half of Alaska just got flooded the other day. Sorry about that. But you guys, voted for a president that doesn't really care about disasters or global warming or nothing, or infrastructure. Alaska, if it doubles, you'll be left with under $1,000 a month. Yep. If it triples, you'll be left. This is a year. You'll be left with under $2,000 a year if it triples. Arizona, if it just doubles, you're left with $7,000 in your pocket a year. That's less than what? $500 a month? That's like $600 a month. Arkansas, what are you left with? Arkansas, look at this. You're left with $4,000, less than $5,000 a year disposable income. If your health care doubles. Californians are doing way better than everybody else. And they're concerned. Look at this. And that shows you the difference in responsible voting. Californians vote and they pay attention to what the fuck is going on. And because of that, they're in a good shape. California might be one of the only states that can really say, it's not the only one of 3 or 4 that can say that. Everybody else is getting decimated. I don't mind 22,000 disposable income. That's a couple thousand. Damn, that's almost what, 1,500 a month after, disposable income. Now, the cost of living might be high though. The other, restaurants might cost. I understand that. So in California, it's still an issue, but damn, they doing better off than a lot of people. Colorado, you're left with less than $1,000 a month. If it doubles, if it triples, you got less than $1,000 a year. Look at this. Connecticut minus. Connecticut is minus. If it triples, you're on minus. If it doesn't, if you're lucky and everything goes as the Republicans plan, you'll have less than $1,000 a month. You'll have what? How do you split this? This is like $600 a month, $650 a month, something like that. If you're lucky. Delaware, if you're lucky, you'll have about $800 a month. I hope that's good enough for you to hang out with your kids and party and, kick back, have some luxury, go on a little, but if it triples, you will have $899 a year. Anyway, I'm just saying, this is your fate. This is what it looks like in numbers. You go further down the line, it's not looking too good. It's not looking too good at all. Look at this, minus 5,000. South Dakota, South Carolina, minus 5,000 if it triples. If you're lucky the way Republicans got it set out for you, you will have $2,281 a year after you pay all your expenses in health care. You could have had 9,000, which is what it is now, but you settled for 2,000 a year. I don't know. You tell me. Anyway, y'all. Yes. What I'm going to do is I'm going to be so kind enough to put this in the stream. You can do your own data if you like. I think that's a wonderful idea, by the way, and I would applaud you if you do. At least you put some effort. Now, let me see here. Where's the chat at? God damn. This is scary. This is fucking scary. And let me see here. Boom. This is only for the people that want it and need it. If you don't need it, you don't have to use it. It's all good. I think that's also okay. Now, there it is. Let me put it in a couple of times. And yeah. Now, man. No, I see somebody asked about the 70s to now. No, I haven't done that, But then again, that's another show. You could do that. Yeah, the cost of living has gone up. But listen, y'all, don't put up with this shit. If this data is anywhere close to true, 80% true, you need to go shake up your congressional members and if they're in these Republican states and ask them, what the fuck are you trying to do to my life? What are you trying to do to my kids? What are you trying to do to me? Do you hate me? Like, really? Because this is what you do to somebody you hate. This is what you do to somebody you hate, yo. This is not what you do to someone you love. This is not what you do to a fellow countryman. Doesn't matter what their color is. Doesn't matter what their race is. Doesn't matter what their gender is. Doesn't matter anything. That's their motherfucking business. Would you want someone treating you like this? So why would you treat someone else this way? if it doesn't work for you, why would you want it to? Why would you think it works for someone else? Yo, I really having some problems, like seriously. And don't get me wrong, it's because I'm a healthy person, so I have empathy for others and I actually care. I have done some human rights work in organizing and data, and I'm not going to really talk about that right now. And I do know what qualitative data is too, going out and talking to people and listening without interjecting my own thoughts, just sitting back and listening to what people think in general. And I'm just telling you, Americans, y'all have to do better than this. You have to do better. And I'm really talking to the red states. Like, listen, you have to understand, nobody hates you. You are doing just fine hating yourselves. Like, seriously, like, and don't ever say that no one has showed you empathy for your pain, right? Because people have, and I'm going to give you a demonstration of how much empathy, how far back that empathy has gone. That empathy has gone back a while. It didn't just start. That empathy has gone back, and it's been shared by all people. It's been shared across the country. And don't ever forget, people care, across political, should care across political spectrums, across racial identity, ethnic identity. People care. So please don't say that nobody cared, because somebody did care, and somebody's been trying to tell you that they care for a while. So I care. You have an opportunity to listen, and you have an opportunity not to listen if you don't want to. It's your free will.
It as an arena of blasted hopes and shattered dreams. Many people of various backgrounds live in this other America. Some are Mexican Americans, some are Puerto Ricans, some are Indians, some happen to be from other groups. Millions of them are Appalachian whites. We see it as an arena of blasted hopes and shattered dreams.
All right, Joe, I'm out.
Many people of various backgrounds live in this other America. Some are Mexican Americans, some are Puerto Ricans, some are Indians, some happen to be from other groups. Millions of them are Appalachian whites.
Millions of them are Appalachian whites, and others, So today we could expand that, but don't fall for the okie doke. I'm out, y'all. I'm gonna catch up with y'all soon. All right, be good. I should be back in the next. What is it? How many hours? 4 or 5 hours. We're gonna see how it do. All right, here we go.
Is it really asking a lot to say a dead old? Cause we sitting on the earth looking back at extinct. And I'm standing on some ground that's about to sink. I ain't scared for a minute, I ain't about to blink. But I documented for the world what I see and think. Feel we on the call and I feel we on the brink. All Congress gonna do is waste paper and ink. Vote or die. You voted and you'll die. You can have it both ways, can't say it's a lie. You can march all you want, but they playing you wrong. They only understand war, it's the same old song. They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversion every tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, they want more. But they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. All they really want is a war. Diversion every tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, they want more. But they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. Like the lotus coming out of the mud with colors, I create envy in those with power but jealous. I unify the poor with my song, the hell with the others. Descended the way they treat indigenous brothers. Cause I understand we link forever. They try to hate us even though that we keep it together. I'm not talking about controlling the air or the weather. I'm talking about maintaining the truth, the high endeavor. A rebel drops bombs in the midst of trouble. The free world counterattack and now there's double. But nature gets the shit in the way to settle. If you stop the machine things for a minute you might hear, but they won't, cause the TV's whisper in the ear. And capitalism has eyes that don't tear, and they cloud up and get crazy and won't steer. And like an ad, it's hard to get an ass to listen. Living like this is like living in prison. It's hard to keep hope when you're living in prison. The spiritual thoughts, so yes, the mental prison. The outside, yes, it's got to get through. Something's gotta die, so something here can live. Your life is nothing if you got nothing to give. Keeping the spiritual, yes, disguised as religion. Controlling your mind, the mental prison.
They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. Them diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. War, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. Them diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war.
For those of y'all that are interested, when the stream ends, the live chat will be back up in about an hour. It takes some time to process, so if you don't get a chance to click the chat GDP link with the info, you can come back in like an hour and it will be back up. Appreciate y'all. One.